Hey, thanks for being right here on 5 Plus. Time to dive into the data. What's the weather going to be like and what's the impact to you? Well, a little bit of a warming trend tops the weather forecast for the next couple of days. In fact, when you wake up tomorrow morning, sure, it's going to be cold. We're hovering right around freezing, maybe some locations dipping a degree or two below that freezing mark. But overall, these numbers Saturday morning are going to be notably warmer than the teens and low 20s that many of us walked out the front door to on our Friday morning. That warming trend likely going to continue into the majority of the weekend. In fact, Saturday afternoon, not bad at all. In fact, we're tracking temperatures upper 50s, low 60s out there. A nice gradual warm up. These temperatures anywhere between 5 upwards of 10 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Part of the reason why, you might notice it, it's somewhat subtle there, but it's those winds. You notice them moving in out of the south, often a direction in which warmer air masses move from. That warming trend going to be a little bit mitigated with some rain chances that are going to arrive on Sunday. Now, it's not an equal opportunity chance for rain. Some folks have better odds than others. In fact, the further south and east you go, especially in parts of, let's say, Johnson, Franklin, Logan, Scott, maybe portions of LaFleur County, you're going to be closer to an axis of heavier moisture up in the atmosphere. All that to say, your chance of rain, a little bit better. I think we have good odds as the further south and east you go. Meanwhile, the opposite could be said in northwest Arkansas. We're going to be getting a little bit further away from where that good moisture is. Therefore, our chances of good, meaningful, needed precipitation a little bit lower. Oh, places like, let's say, Podo, Spiro, Fort Smith, Van Buren, Alma, Ozark, Huntsville, somewhere in between. We'll probably see some passing showers throughout the course of the day, but perhaps not as much as if you're living in that darker green. I'll put Futurecast into motion for you. This is one of our mini models that we use to get a general idea of coverage and timing. And what it shows us is by Sunday morning, maybe you've got an early morning church service. We're looking at overcast skies. Keep in mind, it's also going to feel a little bit more humid out there. Could be some areas of drizzle, maybe even a little bit of fog developing. Meanwhile, off to our south, a bit better moisture. Already seeing some rain chances creeping in parts of Scott and LaFleur counties. Maybe a scattered shower out ahead of it. But closer to lunchtime, so we're thinking late morning, early afternoon, that's going to be prime time for some of these showers, of which could be heavy in some locations. You see those yellows mixing in. That's the data telling us not only could you get some rain, maybe it's a bit more moderate to potentially even some areas of some heavy rain developing. And that trend likely continues into the first part of the afternoon here on Sunday. You might notice also, again, the further north and east, north and west, I should say, you got a little bit less chance of rain. That's not to say Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale doesn't see rain. That's just to say it's not going to be as much. You find the majority of that rain off towards the south and east, and so it's no surprise when you start to look at some projected rainfall accumulations, you find low numbers like, oh, 1/10 of an inch or so in northwest Arkansas. But you go further south, you go further east, maybe we get a little bit closer to that half-inch mark. Of course, this is just one model, but it does a pretty good job of telling us, yeah, you're going to get some rain. Probably doesn't amount to a whole lot when it's all said and done. Not near as much as we certainly need over the next couple of days. We are starting to see a bit more drought develop. We had kind of dug ourselves out of it, but that trend looks to be reversing as we're now going on almost 20 days without a good, meaningful rainfall. If there's any good news, in fact, let's always try to find the silver lining. If you need to get the holiday lights hung, time's running out, right? Well, tomorrow's going to be a really good day. I'm going to go with green lights for good on Saturday, but by Sunday with rain chances back in the forecast, not exactly the best day to be out and about hanging those Christmas lights up on a ladder when it could be a little bit wet out there. I will tell you though, northwest Arkansas, maybe we could go with yellow lights, only because I do think there's going to be some passing showers, but probably not an all-day washout in northwest parts of the state. Monday's another green light day. It is going to be a bit overcast, but it's going to be warm. And it's the last warm day. While there's not much in the way of rain chances on the forecast on Tuesday, it's a very low 10% chance, it is going to be significantly colder on Tuesday, and it's for that reason I go with yellow lights on Tuesday there. We do see some signs in the long-range data, so we're looking at December 14th through the 20th. Wow, that's a lot of red on that map. A good majority of the continental United States probably experiencing above average temperatures. But I want to tell you something. Sometimes people will see these maps and they can be a little bit misleading. You see a whole bunch of red and you instantly think it's going to get hot. That's not necessarily how to interpret this data. This data, all it's telling us is there's a good chance for above average temperature. So if the average in your hometown is, let's say, a 50-degree high temperature, there's good odds that it'll be at least 51 or above. So that's not necessarily to say it's going to be hot, but it is to say that I think we're probably going to be trending above where the data would suggest we're typically at this time of the year. On the flip side, while no one necessarily wants a hot December, we do see some better signs for some much needed precipitation during those same dates. A good chunk of eastern Oklahoma, all of western Arkansas, really a good chunk of Oklahoma and Arkansas, likely going to see at least decent odds for a little bit more moisture than we're typically used to seeing for that same window when you go back and look on those record books. So a positive sign nonetheless. You can kind of see that starting to show up here in your 10-day forecast. In fact, you'll fast forward to the very end. We're looking at those dates in that time frame, that window. Next Saturday, so not tomorrow, not this weekend, but next weekend, next Saturday, Sunday, even into Monday, some better odds that are a little bit more promising. But you can also see those above average temperatures there. Very well could be in the mid to upper 50s for many days, possibly even cracking into the low 60s. That's not going to be out of the question. So this wild temperature roller coaster that we've all been on together, that's going to continue. Warm weekend followed by another strong cold front Monday into Tuesday, drops those temperatures. We'll have a few cold days in the 40s, mornings in the 20s. Boy, it's going to be frigid out there, followed by a pretty quick resurgence in warmth. And that trend likely very well continues into the better majority of your December. Let's take a look at that 10-day forecast right here for the River Valley. Tomorrow morning, waking up at or slightly below that freezing mark. If you have early morning plans, you definitely want to be bundled up. Well, yeah, the overall weekend is going to be warmer. That's not to say we're not going to have some cold mornings. We certainly are. A little bit of sunshine in your Saturday forecast. Let's call it partly sunny to partly cloudy at times. More cloud cover builds in for your Sunday. That's going to be where we find those better rain chances, especially, again, the further south and east you go. Maybe we can carry over a sprinkle or two into Monday. Behind that cold front, we're also going to continue with a 10% chance of a stray sprinkle or even perhaps a stray flurry. That's not out of the question. On Tuesday, you can see those temperatures were well above freezing, so not expecting anything to stick or even accumulate for that matter, so certainly no weather impacts, but it is that time of the year we can start to see some of these systems move on into the area, and if the moisture can meet up with that cold air, sometimes you can see a burst of a flurry or two. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that pretty soon. Probably not going to see it in the 10-day forecast towards the end of it anyways, simply because of those temperatures. Wow, we're really warming up back into the 60s Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rain chances also looking pretty good. I'm keeping them low for now. 20% next Saturday, up to 40% next Sunday and Monday. Relatively speaking, that is low chance, but I think given the confidence that is increasing as we get closer, models are coming into better agreement, lots of different sources of data starting to say, hey, you know what, there could be some better moisture with that system. Maybe, just maybe, those numbers continue increasing. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, and I know there are some Christmas parades that weekend. Hopefully we can get those out without a hitch, but we do need the rain, and we don't want to slip back into a bad drought. That's certainly something none of us want to see. All right, now let's check of your 5+ forecast. It's the only 10-day forecast produced right here in Northwest Arkansas or the River Valley. We'll keep you posted as the weather evolves over the next several days. In the meantime, we hope you have a very lovely weekend.